Hey everybody, so this is a little bit of an experiment here, first video on my channel, and the reason I made it actually is because I got such a huge response from an Instagram story I posted on my Instagram page about how my agency got started, and a lot of people were super interested in that, specifically about getting the first clients, how actually things got moving in the very beginning. And there's a huge load of misconceptions about starting a company, and especially a design company. So I thought I just would take the time to make a bit of a longer video on that specific topic. So getting started when you want to start a design company, when you want to start even a small business, but I guess I'm just going to focus on what I know, which is building a design agency. So just for a tiny bit of context, I am the co-founder of AJ & Smart. We are a 20-person design agency in Berlin, Germany. We design products, we work with all of the big brands that you know. Yeah, we make a couple of $1 million a year in revenue, and that is growing, almost doubling year over year. So long story short, I've been through also what I should mention is that we started in 2011, so we are around 7 years old. So I've been through all of the things that you need to go through to start something like this and to get to this point. And what I wanted to make here, and I guess what I was making on Instagram, is if I would find this video when I was starting my company 7 years ago, if I would have found a video like this, would have made it easier for me to get started. Okay, so let me just tell you how we got started and hit you with some of the things that I think that people make mistakes, like the kind of mistakes people make when they first get started. And yeah, let me just get right into it. So AJ & Smart started 2011 when myself and my co-founder Michael, we were both freelancing for the same client. We weren't working together actually, but we were just both coincidentally freelancing. And he found a project that we both decided to pitch for. We got it, and when we tried to bill that client at the end of that month, it was a crazy project, I won't go into that right now, but when we tried to bill the client at the end of that month, they basically said, you can't bill us as, at that time it was actually 3 freelancers, because we started with a developer as well. Said you cannot bill us as as individual freelancers. You're gonna have to bill us as a company. And we were like, okay, yeah, no problem. So we ran to the whatever it's called, tax office, and we created our company. Created a GBR, what it's called in Germany. I'm not German, I'm Irish, but I live here in Germany. We started the company in Germany. So we created a company, limited liability or something, whatever. The easiest one, basically the fastest and easiest one we created. The one that required us not to have to pay much money. I think we had to pay $70 in total to found it. So we handed in our first bill. That was our first client. And then we had the real problem of, deciding actually how, should we actually stay an agency? Should we just close it? The original idea is we would just close it down. However, myself and my co-founder, Michael, we decided just to give it a try for a few weeks and see maybe could we, do this thing ourselves instead of working for all these clients, which was kind of bugging us. As freelancers. So we decided let's go for it. One of the other co-founders, he left because the idea was to close it as fast as possible. Okay, so then what happened, and then this is probably the important part, is that so we didn't have a website, we didn't have a portfolio, we didn't really have connections. We just done one project, and I was less than a year out of college as well. So this was really starting from scratch. And what really helped us is that we found, because we wanted to be as cheap as possible, we didn't have money to have our own office. We were working out of my bedroom, but we actually decided to have a look for a place. Yeah, just to find a place to actually work, to make it feel more real. So my co-founder, he found a desk that we could pay for on a monthly basis in a startup accelerator office, where they had some office space for us while they were filling out with different startups. So a startup accelerator is basically like a company that builds multiple companies. They give money to founders, and then they can build their company in that environment and get some help at the very start. What we didn't realize is this was the most amazing possible start we could ever have, because we sat down there at a desk. We realized we're completely surrounded by potential clients. We put up a sign, UX design agency, years before UX was even a super exciting thing to talk about. And we also had whiskey tastings at our desk. And this was really, really like a way we got to know all of the different startups. And actually, that's how we got our first clients. We were just physically in the space where the clients were. And if I was starting an agency again, I would do the exact same thing. I would look for a place where potential clients are, and that's the easiest way to start in that case, I think, is startups. And I would physically put myself in that space. Over the next 2 years, I think 90% of our clients were from the building we were in. So once we kind of went through every company in the accelerator, they started recommending us to other companies, and the other companies within the building, they started seeing our sign UX design agency. So we got like the first 2 years of revenue purely from one building here in Berlin, and yeah, it was really amazing. And there wasn't even WeWork back then when we started, but WeWork would be a perfect example of doing something like that. And what we did as well is we made sure that we were like the center of attention as much as possible. So we did host events like whiskey tastings, like I mentioned, and that really helped us to explain what we're doing without coming across as like weirdos who needed to sell stuff. One of the things that, and I'm just going to focus on the first few months here because I think this is where a lot of people I think some of the things we got right is that we didn't focus on creating a website. We had the domain name ajsmart.com, which is finally we got ajsmart.com. But we got the domain name, and we literally, our website was just like our logo, which I created in 20 minutes, and I think my phone number. That was the whole website. For about 2 years. We didn't have any real branding, it was just like the logo that was like Baskerville font, like stuck together so that we could fake that we're a company. And we really put no effort into building portfolio, we put no effort into the website. Today you can even check that we barely have anything on there in terms of case studies. Any case studies that are on our website today, and we're a multi-million-dollar design agency, they're all out of date because it's really not important to, it's a luxury to be updating your website the whole time. And people get super stuck on that, especially when they're building design agencies. They get super stuck on, we have to have like the perfect logo, the perfect name, perfect color scheme. We have to have a website. All of this stuff has to be done before we start. 100% not true. The most important thing is just getting started and starting to get your first clients. It doesn't really matter how your website looks, because in the end, how you make money is by having connections with people, like, actual real life personal connections with people at the very start. It's extremely important to have those. And those are the things that you build up face to face. So I think that geography is something that people don't really consider is a great way to start, as in physically being in a place, but it absolutely is. And I think that that's something I would definitely go back to if I was starting today. Another thing I would have done, another thing that we did not do at the start, but I wish we had done, was, and what I would do today, absolutely, I would be doing something like this. I would be vlogging. I would be documenting our journey. There's this idea that you have to wait till you've done really cool stuff before you show it off. That's not true. People really like to see the behind the scenes stuff. For example, I could wait until AJ & Smart is like a big, super successful agency that's like, 100 people and whatever, and I'm like a trillionaire. Probably won't happen till I make these videos, but it's in the process of building an agency now, and I thought it might be interesting to show it. And I think that I might regret not doing this a year from now. So there's that quote, 1 year from now, you wish you would have started today. So 7 years ago, I would tell myself, if I could go back and tell myself, I would say, get on Instagram right now, get on Facebook right now, create groups, start documenting the journey in daily vlogs. Just get it started and don't focus on what exactly you're going to be talking about. Another good example is like I started a podcast. I spoke about starting a podcast for the last 5 years, but I actually only did it in November this year. And it's been huge in terms of AJ & Smart, in terms of my career. Getting in contact with people like Jason Fried, working with Jake Knapp every week, the guy who wrote Sprint, getting some amazing connections through that podcast. And it's something that if I had started a few years ago, even if it had started slowly, I would have much more people listening to it today. And I would be, the company AJ & Smart would be much more well known. So I think any of these sort of content related things, a lot of people get stuck because they're thinking too much about what content to create. And I used to think, we need to create a case study, we do this, we do that. Just look for the lowest friction way of doing things and try to get a daily habit. So like Instagram vlogs, things like that. So I think I'm gonna leave this one at this length. I think the point of it was, when you're getting started, it's more important to get started than being right about everything. Don't overthink. Like, for example, someone today on Instagram asked me, So one of the things that's stopping us is we're trying to decide whether we are a development agency or, so I'm reading it from the Instagram story. So we're trying to decide whether we want to be a development agency or a pure design company. My reply to that is, you don't have a company yet. Stop even worrying about that. Just start with something and see what happens. It really, really doesn't matter at all. We started with 3 founders. One of them was a developer. Now we're 2 founders, 2 designers, and we only do design. And that's something you'll only find out over time. Don't waste time on making a great name. Who cares about the name of your company? In the end, it doesn't matter. Don't waste time on building your website. Don't waste time on your brand. All of these things are really their procrastination. You're building a business. You're not building some sort of like a personal fun side project. So if you really want to build a company, you need to start in the most practical, pragmatic way possible. And the most practical, pragmatic way possible is to get sales. And it's not about, you just need to be getting sales. You should be focused on getting sales. Okay, so that's it. Don't waste your time on your website. Don't waste time on your brand. Just get started. Look for a place that you can sit and be surrounded by potential clients. And startups are a great way to start. There's almost no city in the world that doesn't have a good startup scene. Oh, actually, you know what I should mention? If you are trying to start a design agency in the middle of nowhere, geography is important. People make up all these stories that you can work from wherever you like and be successful. It's true, but it's easier if you're in a city which has a lot going on. So right today, my company, almost none of our clients are from Berlin. Our clients are spread all over the world. We're working, like I said, with the biggest brands in the world, so we have to travel everywhere. But at the very start, 100% of our clients were like within 2 kilometers of us. So don't waste your time. You know, if I moved from Ireland to Berlin as well. I think if I try to start what I started here in Cork in Ireland, I'd still be trying to make $20 today, 10 years later or whatever. It does matter where you're situated. So if you are struggling to get started and you're struggling to find clients, it's maybe because you're trying to do it all online, and that's not great. Okay, I'm gonna end this now. Bye-bye.